Hi everyone, my name is Omar Al-Thwaini, and in this tutorial I will show you how to collect expert ratings for road segment vulnerability that exposed to landslides using open source Web GIS software. Actually, there are many softwares for Web GIS development. However, most of these softwares are limited in terms of features and commonly used for visualization rather than editing. Today we will be using the G3W suite, which is fully customized, and it's free, open source, and at the same time it works like your QGIS project. So once you have your QGIS project ready, you will be able to translate or transfer this project into your WebGIS, and you share it with the other colleagues to work on. So we will explain more about the features of these softwares within our project, and this is the main website that you can check, and you can contact also the guys who is working over there. As you said, many features that you have, you can do the editing on the web. Actually, and this is one of the main advantages of the Web GIS, that you can share your project with the colleagues without need to send the data, and you keep your data with you. And in terms of just viewing, so you can give either viewer or editor credentials. In the same time, you have many additional features like connecting reports, pictures, relational process with the other factors, and all supported within a latest version of QGIS. And also you can work on many features, type of features, and also the extensions. So you can use the share files, you can use the geo packages and PostGIS and so on. So now let's jump into the software and our WebGIS to explain the process. So when we say vulnerability, we mean let's say the weakness. So in terms of vulnerability of any objects or a system, we have, or we can see, this vulnerability comprise or consist of conditions. So either it's physical, or it's economical, it's a socio-economical. And I think in the best way to explain this kind of terminology, like vulnerability, exposure, and disaster and risk, we give an example of let's say somebody he has, let's say, a certain weakness in his body, or let's say we talk about somebody he has a low immunity system. So this kind of low immunity system is not be able to diagnose without having a certain exposure. So let's say somebody expose him to some kind of germs, so or we can just add some, or he eat some type of food that it has some kind of germs, and then start to feel weak, start to see there is some conditions like dizziness or whatever. So we can now apply this two definitions on infrastructure. So we have a certain type of roads, but those roads are vulnerable, but we don't know how much vulnerable they are unless they exposed to something. So whenever we have any sort of natural hazards or man-made hazards, like landslides or flood, and we can see there is something happen, and when we see happen, that means a disaster happened, because when somebody gets sick, that means this disaster itself. So now this road got damage or collapse because of the exposure. So now we understand that this road has some sort of a vulnerability. But how to know what sort of vulnerability. As we said, vulnerability comprises of certain conditions, like if we talk about the human, we can see dizziness, we can see weight, we can see temperature, but in terms of infrastructure, and here we are talking about roads, we can say like damage on the surface of the road, collapse of the road, like the damage on the structure, functionality of the road itself, and also the what is protecting the road itself, like the retaining walls, or if there is also rock nets, and so on. So now we are taking this person to the doctor, which is in our work is the expert, to try to understand how much vulnerable this guy is and what kind of treatment he needs to give. So now when the patient go to the doctor and the experts or the doctor diagnose this patient and to tell him that okay, you are in certain amount of weakness from 1 to 10. So also for our experts for the roads, we try to give an assessment of this vulnerability that we will see from some kind of conditions, and we give a certain rating, so from 1 to 4, if it's clear, if it has light or severe damage, and so on. And now after that we to understand the other terminology like the susceptibility, and also the hazard in terms of time and location, we can understand that this road was in a certain condition exposed to the the landslide because of its location, and also not only because of the location, because of a certain time. So the time and the location, which is they represent the hazard, and they are integrated with this vulnerable object, and this vulnerable object has a certain vulnerability measured by the intensity of this exposure. So now somebody might ask, is it that simple? It's not, because either the exposure was very strong, like the virus was very strong to let the person collapse, or the road collapse, or the road was very weak, so any certain of exposure, it can damage this road. So this kind of analysis we will do it later, but now in our exercise we are focusing on explaining or having those conditions, and also the patient or the road itself in certain pictures. So the experts will look at the pictures and try to give a diagnosis, like this road was covered with the debris and this sort of damage on the structure, or this is close to the traffic. So whatever was clear from the pictures, this kind of rating we are waiting for. So now we will have like 3 steps. In the first step, we try to explain the interface and the GUI of the software, and the second part we will explain the data that we have, and the third part we will explain how to do the rating. Okay, so now we are in the back end of the WebGIS. So and this is, I'm logging as an admin. So you can see here we have one project, and this project has many layers, and each layer it has its own settings, like editing, like what kind of groups they can view, or even a single user or groups, and also adding plots using Plotly and any sort of XML supported files, and also some geo constraints and filtering and so on. And also you can see that we have different sort of extensions of the geo files, and also you can have your tables, so you have attributable and also locational objects. On the other side, we have our QGIS that it's prepared in a way that it will be ready to be exported into the WebGIS. So we'll come to the part that we have a look on the front end. So now the front end that you just show a map, you click here, you will come to the front end. So the front end, you can see that it's a typical GIS interface. So we have on the upper part, it's the project name, and you can put the logo here, and you can put also a link to what's your working group behind this project, and at the same time that you have your users and the language support, also a few languages. You have the zooming and navigation, some interesting features like the street view. So whenever you like to click, you can have a street view of this location, and also you can take some screenshots, which is also a geo located screenshots. So let's say if you want to take a screenshot of this place and this image, and later you can just put it on any GIS software, it will sit on the location of this specific place. It's not just like a JPEG or TIFF picture. Also measuring the areas and so on. On the left side, we have special bookmarks. So whenever you are like working in this place and you want just to have a bookmark for this place that you can come to it later, so you can just put any name, and then you can, whenever you navigate anywhere, and you can come back to your point. Also what we have the search. So for example, here in this application today, I'm adding two sorts of search. So you know, when the experts doing the rating and they want to see that, okay, did I miss any of the ratings? So you can put any sort of rating value, which is 1 to 4 here, and search which features that carry this specific rating, or if it's not. For example, if I want to see did we have any rating of 4, you see that we don't have. But if we have any rating of 1, you see, yeah, we have 2 objects. So I just added 2 ratings yesterday just to test. And also you can search, or you can add for each layer, for each feature, you can add its own search or its own gadgets. Also tools, it's about starting editing, and here about maps. So also you have the option of adding WMS, so you can get the name and the URL of the WMS, and it can be added directly here. About the data, you can see that we have the section of the data here on the layers. Also you can control whether you open or collapse, or it can be closed. And also you have the base maps. So you have also different collection of base maps. So I'm adding also only the OSM. However, you can also add the base map from the QGIS project. That's how I did. So you can have your own open source base maps, or you can just ignore the one that is provided by the software and you can add yours. And you have also set your extensions and the layout and all the sort of things that you can do in the QGIS. You can do it also here. Okay, now we come to the second part, is to explain the data. So the data here we have, it's mainly represented by those black dots represent the pictures. So you have many options of how to check the pictures. So either you go for the query layer, so you can click and you will have the attribute table that already we prepared here in the QGIS. So this attribute table now, and also would apply some sort of forms, so you can just close some fields that you don't want to be shown here, so you can manage it from that side. And here you can also upload your pictures and it can be shown. At the same time, if you like to add some links, for example, I added some links. I was not aware that this version actually contained the street view, because the previous version it doesn't. So now this version has the street views. So if I want to understand the street view of this location, just click here and it will open a new tab, and it will show me the location of the street. So now the experts, they can have a look on about, let's say, before and after the exposure. So now we have this picture that it was taken on the date of 14th of October in 2022, and we have now this Google. So if you see that almost the Google view, it has almost the same date with our picture. So, and here is the address. So what you can do in case that you have multiple pictures here, so you can try to select different views before this October, which will be very good to compare. Also, on the same time, we have different attributes that we said that will be used to assess the vulnerability. So we have like 7 or 8. Yes, we have 8 parameters or factors. So it's be closed to traffic. So either this road was closed to traffic or not, and this is try to understand from the picture itself. So this is because now we are in this research, we are trying to use the minimum amount of the data. So based on just pictures that we have from the fields, we try to actually produce this sort of research. So now we can see that we expect that it was not close that much to the traffic, or let's say we gave rating from 1 to 4 to say that 1 it's the minimum or it's clear, that means it was not closed, and 4 it was really closed, totally closed. So this rating we will do it on the last step. Now we will just explain the more of the layers. So we have the damage of structure, if this road was totally damaged or partially damaged or not damaged at all, or there is a damage in the retaining wall, in the rockfall net, if there is also damage in the barriers or the bollards of the streets, and if there is any depression cracks, which is this kind of cracks that appear on the street before the collapse, and also if there is a failure in the embankment. And last, it's about the final score of the expert that will show also later on how to give it. And here also, if you have multiple pictures, so I prepared like 5 sort of pictures that we can insert. So we have only 1 picture here, and also the picture of that one is taken by the Google, and the one that took in the field. So what else? I added the study area extension. So you can see here we have our extent for this study area, and also we have sort of the road types. So it might help in some way that you can understand this is the main road, this is secondary road, and so on. And we have our base maps. Also, it will help that to understand, for example, in the Google Terrain Hybrid, we understand that this area here, it's within the complex in the topography, and it has a high elevation with the complex features. And while there on the right side on the study area, we have a gentle slopes. So you might expect that you have a great amount of damages in terms of landslides, because landslides here consider be relatively larger than in these areas. You will receive a username and password from my side, and I will give you the link. So the link is the cody.rb.cnr.it. So once you get it and you access to the link, then you can add your username and password, and then you sign in. So for you now, I'm giving you the credential of editing the attributes. So editing the attributes, that means you are not deleting and you are not adding new attributes, and in this way you don't have any caution while you are working. So don't afraid that you will break something, or it doesn't matter. Whatever you will do here, already we have the backup, and you aren't able to damage anything, because you are just a viewer with a slight credential of editing. Okay, so you have now almost 100 points, so you can come to the main file that you will work on. It's the road pictures. So what you can see, you can have the open attribute tables. So you can see you have 106 and the kind of attributes that you have the a different sort of attributes, which is mainly you are interested in the pictures that you can view. So this is about how you navigate to different features, and in the same time you can have a look on the pictures of this specific points. So again, these specific points represent pictures. So here is not a landslide, it's a picture of the road segment. The landslide might be nearby, might be far away, and so on. And here you can also search for a specific ID if you have it or not. So you can just write it and then it will zoom on this. Also, you have a nice option here. You see that when I activate this map and this ID of 44 is not in here, the 44 gone. So that's mean if you activate this and you remove it, so whatever you will see what just on your canvas, what is in front of you, it will be just listed in here. So this is interactive, let's say, visualization of the maps. So you see, if I zoom out, if I have more points, you will have more points here. And this is make it easy for you also to understand without having all the crowds. Another feature also, it's important to know that you can see when you zoom out, you lose the ID. So I make it also like this in terms of generalization. This will make it easy for you to understand without having too many complex features. Okay, so this is about navigation, and let's start do the editing. So how you feel comfortable, you can switch off the background, okay, or the base maps, okay, or the streets. So whatever you like to have it, you are free to do. Okay, so we will start editing. So let's say you can do it like what we said in the QGIS. You can start editing and you go with the editing mode and you can continue. However, there is a problem with our application that we are the experts should look at the pictures. So for instance, if I want to navigate to a specific point, I have this 223, so I can just search for it here and it will go for it. Okay, so now what is the next step? You can start editing by clicking to the icon here. In case there is something get broken or you just refresh, you can just refresh from here, then everything will go back to the normal. And you said no, I want to start, let's say, from right to left, so as you like. So you can use this query and you can just click on the points. So now you start to have a point ID or picture ID 151. So you can look at the picture, okay, and you can just right click and open image in the new tab. So you will have now the full picture in front of you, so you can understand much better. Also, what you can do, you can also, if you see if there is a Google view, you can click here, or you can just have your navigation. So you can just click beside this picture 151, so you can just click here. It will give you also a Google view, right? So both works fine. But in case if you don't have it here, you can just click it here and you can go to the point. Okay, now fair enough, I had a look on this street, so I can understand the situation of this road. So let me start editing. So I start from, is this road close to the traffic? Actually, I don't want to explain each factor and what is the condition here, because I don't want to have a bias later in the results. So based on your expertise and background, you can assess. So from my point of view, this road was from minimum 1 to 4. So from 1, I feel like, yeah, maybe it was partially closed to the traffic, not all. That's mean there is, if this road take 2 cars to go on the same time on parallel, I think it was like just 1 car was passing through. So let's say it was 50% closed. Damage of the structure, if there is any damage of the structure of the road, it seems, yes, in somehow there is some sort of damage to the functionality of the road itself. Rockfall net, no, there is no rockfall net, so clear. 1 is clear, okay, and 2, it start to have a certain sense of damage. And 1, if you see there is nothing, you can put 1, because minimum is 1, not 0. 0 means there is no value, there is no input. Okay, so 1 clear, and 4 is the maximum. And damage to the barriers, I can see, yes, but the barriers, it's just the bridge. But here in this way where the landslide passed, there was no barriers for the street, so I can say it's 1. And if there is a depression cracks, I can see, yeah, there are some damages actually on the cracks, and even there is some patches on the road, so I can put here something like maybe 3. Okay, and there is a road impactment failure. It seems somehow this road, it's even some pictures are not perfect actually to take, because this is the available data, and this is taken by different people. So the impactment of the road, it seems to be also suffered, so you can put 2. So the final score based on your understanding, because this will be carried on a different analysis later, but based on those conditions, as we said, that we have the 8 conditions, you can take a decision that this final score, I can say the vulnerability of the road, that it was like 2 out of 4. Okay, and then you are done. So there is nothing to do here. You can't edit anything here, even this one. By mistake I keep it open, it will be closed, so nothing, you can't do anything here more than I put a field of a comment in case that you have some comments about this feature. You can just write us here, what do you think? No comment. Okay, you can see also the field of expert name. After you save from here, you are done, success, and you can close. Now if you close from here, if you come to this segment, you will see that your inputs are stored, and also your name was stored as expert name. This will make it easy for me later on to process the data. And this is one point, so if you want to go for another point, we can do it together. So I have some points in my mind, but if for yourself, you can just zoom out and click taking the query on 54. You can just click on the 54, and then again repeat the same issues. Editing from here, first take the picture, close the previous pictures. Okay, look at the picture now. Also, it's not that good, but it seems that we can see some part of the road, like let's say embankment of the road start to have some damages. And also you can see here there is the landslide, it's occurred from this side, so you can see the electric line, it's actually collapsed, and also the tower itself. So the landslide came from this side. So in case that you feel that this picture is not good enough for you to give the rating, you can just write me in the comment. After you edit, you can just put in the comment that this picture was not clear for you. So let's take another example with the last one with the good picture. So I will search for picture ID, maybe 222. Yes, this is a good example actually. So you can just have a look. Yes, so open in a new tab. it make it easy for you to have a look on the full extent of the pictures. Here is Francesco Bucci, and he is trying to map the event of the damage on the road, and also you can see what kind of debris that covered the road. So I can start editing directly. Is it close to the traffic? Yeah, it seems to be. That time it was close until the time that we had the picture. Sorry, just we forget to let's close. We forget to take a look on the street before the landslide. Yes, you see, it was perfectly clean, and also it was like newly re-innovated, while it seems here it's totally damaged. So yes, we will come back to the editing of this segment. Okay, so it was close to the traffic. You can just put 4. Damage to the structure, yes, I think it was almost 3. Damage to the rock fall net, and there is no net here actually, so nothing about the rock fall net. And if there is a barriers on the right side, on the sides, no, nothing. Depression cracks, yes, almost 4. And the impactment and the final score for me, this is straight, like I can say 4 out of 4. Okay, based on my assessment. So for you, you can say it whatever. So, but as an expert, I feel like it's between 3 to 4. Okay, so never mind, because you have different many experts. So if you whatever you put here later, we in the analysis we will take the different statistics for. So don't worry, if you put here, if you feel that this is the correct value, you can put it. And then you can, if you don't have any comment here, you can just save it, close. Okay, so now let's say you finish the rating, and I will show you just one interesting feature in here. So you can see the icon, also the color changed according to the severity of the damage. So we have the green is clear, light, until the total is red. So also that you can use later on to visualize your rating. So you can see it's got the colors. Okay, and also we have the charts. So you can have a look on the final chart. So you can see now the features that we give. This is the total assessment. Now we have 2 points. Previously I did 2, so it's 4. If you also, you can click on here, so it will filter just whatever you can see in your canvas. So if you zoom in, you see that you have just 1 point, and this is the ID represented by x-axis, and the y-axis represent the final score. So if you remember, we give 4 here, and if you take the hover, you see that the point, it has the 4 value. And the same time, if you zoom, so this is interactive plot, it will move with the canvas. And also, if you like, you can see the other plots. So you can see a road impactment. Already we give now the rate, so you can see it in here. At the same time, as we see when we do the interactive mapping, also we can see for each point that we are zooming on the canvas. So that's all. You can just carry on with the rest of the points, and once you finish, you just log out or you just close. Don't worry, already the data was saved. So up to here, if there is any question, I will put the emails here that you can send, and I hope the process won't take, we expect that it will take half an hour if you continue on it, but it's based on your time. So this is Omar Al Thwaini, and thank you very much, and happy rating.